Scholar IT Solutions is a balanced staffing company developed by a group of professionals with an experience of over 18+ years in staffing solutions. With years of quality and committed high-end application development and staffing experience, we have become experts at delivering the right fit, the first time. We will be glad to be your last stop and provide you with the perfect solution to your requirements. Follow Scholar IT Solutions LinkedIn page. For more updates, follow our social media pages.
Snapshot Standby database. And as you all know, this online webinar is organized by Scholar IT Solutions. Scholar IT is an IT solution provider, and it is a group of professionals with technical and domain expertise. And they have an experience and a robust team of efficient people serving its client all over USA, and it is one of the best companies in US. You can follow Scholar IT on social networking sites like Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So let's move to the agenda part. So today we will be covering the DataGuard, which is there will be a little bit introduction to that part. Then we will see the snapshot standby. Then we will look into how to convert the physical standby to the snapshot standby. Then we will see the revert of that in order to convert back the snapshot to the physical standby. We will go into the introduction of the DataGuard broker, and then we will perform the same steps like the physical standby to the snapshot standby using the DGMGRL utility, and we will revert the same. So let's go to the Oracle DataGuard introduction. So as you all know, that Oracle DataGuard is a feature that was introduced in Oracle Database 10G. In DataGuard, there is a primary database, and we can have more than one standby database. And the standby is always in sync with the primary so that we can prevent the loss of data. In Oracle DataGuard ensures us the high availability. There is a data protection, there is a disaster recovery for the enterprise database. DataGuard provides a comprehensive set of services like you can create, you can maintain, you can manage and monitor these standby databases, and which will which will help you for the production database to survive the disaster or data corruption. DataGuard maintains these standby databases as transactionally consistent copies of the production database. It means that all the data which is being going inside the primary database will be replicated to the standby database. If the production database becomes unavailable because of a planned or an unplanned outage, DataGuard can switch any of the standby database to the production role, and we will be minimizing the downtime with the outage. And the best part of the DataGuard is that the production database performance can be improved by offloading the resource-intensive backup, or the reporting operations can be performed on the standby database. So here we see an architecture of Oracle DataGuard. On the left side, you can see there is a primary database, and I have tried to, this is my primary database. All the clients are connected to this primary database, and all the database transactions are being done in the primary database. The transactions which are being done will go to the redo buffer area, and from there we have a background process called the LGWR, that's a log writer, and that will write down the redo buffer from this SG area into the online redo log files. And from here, the data of the online redo log files are being written to the archive area, the FRA area, using the ARCN archive processes. So this is what we have in the primary database. When the standby comes into the picture, as we told you, all the transactions that are being done on the primary are being copied from the redo buffer area to the standby side using the redo transport service or the process. And you can also use the online redo log files to transfer them to the standby area, or you can use the from the archiving area we can fetch the missing archives. So from in this all manner, we are shipping the database transactions from the different areas to the standby side. And here we have a remote file server process which will receive those information, it will receive those transactions, and it will write them to the standby redo log files, or it will write them to the archive logs. And from here, there is a MRP process, which is the managed recovery process, which will read these standby redo log files, or it will read the archive log files, and it will apply them to the standby database. So we can say at the end, all the transactions that are being going inside the primary database will be going to the standby database. That's why they are in sync. And you can perform your backups and you can perform your reports on the standby database, thus improving the performance of the primary database. Okay, so now let's move to the snapshot standby database, and let's try to understand what is the snapshot standby database, how it works, when it was introduced. So in Oracle 10G, Oracle gave us two types of standby database. One was the physical standby, and the second is the logical standby. And in 11G, Oracle introduced with two more types of standby. One was the active data guard, and the second came into picture was the snapshot standby. As you all know, that active data guards can be open. Okay, you can perform some read-only operations on the ADGs, right? And in Oracle DataGuard, the standby database can be open in read-only mode and with the ongoing recovery, and we use it for reporting purpose. While in the snapshot standby, we can have the updatable database version. It means that on the snapshot standby, you can create some data, you can perform some DMLs, you can create some table, you can insert some data into that table. So you will be performing all this kind of stuff in a snapshot standby, which is not possible in active data guard. So in case of the snapshot standby, the archives which are coming from the primary side will still be coming to the standby side, but they will not be applied. And when we will convert the snapshot standby back to the physical standby, at that time those archives will be applied on the physical standby to make it in sync with the primary database. Okay, a snapshot standby can be created from the enterprise manager. If you wish, you can have the Oracle Cloud or the enterprise manager, and you can create a snapshot standby from there. Or you can use the DGMGRL utility, a DataGuard broker utility, command line utility to create those snapshot standby. Or you can use the SQL plus command to create the snapshot standby. Whenever a physical standby database is converted into a snapshot standby database, a guaranteed restore point is automatically created. And this will help us to fall back to the, it will help you to roll back your data. It will help you to convert the snapshot standby back to the physical standby. Okay. So when a snapshot standby is converted to physical standby, during this stage, Oracle flashbacks to the restore point that was created earlier, and all the transactions which were done on the standby database while it was in open read write will be flushed. So all this process is being, you are able to perform this process because of the guaranteed restore point. The only requirement to have the snapshot standby is that you should have a FRA, a flash recovery area, so that you can the flashback logs can go and reside on this area. You can have the coming archives from the primary to this area. And it is always advisable to have a sufficient amount of space in your FRA so that you can continue working on the snapshot standby database. So here you can see a diagram for the snapshot standby architecture. This is the same And as you all know that when you convert the when you convert this standby database into the snapshot standby database, so first of all, the MRP process will stop. It will not work. It will not read the standby redo log files or the archive log files, and it will not apply them on the snapshot standby database. And as you all know that a guaranteed restored point is created here. And this will be helpful while we want to fall back to the old physical standby. During that time, it will flush all the data which is being written into the snapshot standby database while it was working in the read-write mode. So now let's move to the point where we will learn how to convert the physical standby to the snapshot standby. So as you all know that you have a primary database and you have a standby database. We can query the database, and we can find out that we have a database which is running in a primary mode, and we have a physical standby which is running in the standby mode. If you want, let's move to the practical sessions a little bit. So as you can see here, we have one server which is a primary database running with a name called Shriv Mac1, and we have a standby database which is on a different server called Shriv Mac2. Okay, so let's see here. Let's connect to the database here, and let's see what's the database info at this place. So this is my primary database, and which is in the read-write mode right now. Okay, and let's look at what is the standard database looking like. So you have a physical standby database here, which is open in read-only mode. Okay. So, okay, the next thing that needs to be looked upon is about the sequencing. Is there any gap between the primary and the standby? There should be no gap. It should always be in sync. So we will see that also. So what you can do is you can find out what is the maximum archive available at the primary side. So the maximum archive, or what we have at the primary, is 805. So this is the current archive log. What you can do is you can make some more switches on this. So alter system switch log file. Let me make some more switches. So right now, after some few more switches, we have a log sequence number that is 809. So currently, my archive on the primary is 809. So they all will be shipped to the standby side. Let's look at what is the maximum archive we have on the standby side. Okay, that's good. We have 809 here. Is there any gap here? So, okay, let's not go into this gap part. Okay, so we have 802, which is running up here. What we can do is we can check from the MRP process. Okay, MRP is not running right now on my standby database. So let me run the MRP process here. So for that is recover managed standby database, disconnect from session. So as you can see in this output, we didn't see any of the MRP process, but now our MRP is started. And if you will see that there is an MRP running, which is applying the archives here. It is 806, which is being currently applied. So right now it is applying 810. So actually there is no gap here. So we have the maximum archives applied here. So this is the query for that. You can say select max sequence from the $V archive log where archive is equal to yes. So it is going to show you how many archives have been applied here. You can also say select sequence hash from $V archive log. And you can see that there are so many archives which has been reached here. Okay, and they all are being applied also. So you can see that 8 not till here the archives has been applied, and the current which is being in the memory is 809. So our standby is actually in sync with the primary database. Okay. Now we will talk about the flashback status and the DB recovery file test parameters which are being defined on the primary level, at the standby level. So as you all know, set flashback on, and this is not compulsory to be yes. So on the primary side, we can say so right now on the primary side we don't have this flashback on. Similarly, I'm sorry. Similarly, on the standby side, we don't have the flashback on. And here you can say show parameter DB recovery. So you can see there are two parameters. One parameter is a DB recovery file test, which specify the location where we have the archives coming up. Okay, so this is the location where you have the archives going, and we have a DB recovery file destination size that's around like 8 gig in my case. So this is the area, how much of area I have given for my archives to be applied here, that can be stored here. I'm sorry. Similarly, the same thing will be in my standby side. So we have the same DB recovery file test here and the DB recovery file test size parameter defined on the standby level. Okay, so now we will start in order to create the snapshot standby. What is the step number one? Step number one is to stop the MRP process. So first of all, we will stop the MRP process, and you know the command for that is alter database recover manage standby database cancel. So our MRP is stopped. We can confirm it from this query that we don't see any of the MRP running up here. Okay, so MRP is stopped on the standby. So we have performed the step number one, that is to stop the MRP process on the standby database. Now moving to the second step, that is the shutdown and open the standby database in the mount mode. So we will perform the second steps, that is shut down the database. And as I always recommend, it is always better to open the alert logs while you're performing this kind of work, so that you can have more detailed information, what is going in the background. You can see everything which is being performed by the Oracle in the background using the alert log. So right now the database is down. We can say now startup mount. So now we have performed this step also. We have shut down the database. We have opened the database in the mount mode. Okay. Now we have the final step that we need to be performed, and that is to convert the snapshot standby. So the command for that is alter database convert to snapshot standby. So let's see how we will perform that. Alter database convert to a snapshot standby. Okay, I'm sorry. The thing is that the MRP is running right now, so we need to stop the MRP. We can confirm it because we just startup mount, so MRP started here. So need to cancel it out, need to stop it. You have the command for that is alter database recover manage standby database cancel. So we will stop the MRP. Let's confirm whether MRP is stopped or not. Yes, it is stopped. And now we will convert the snapshot standby. So as you can see here, they have created a guaranteed restore point, and this is what we have talked about. So a guaranteed restore point is created whenever you convert a database to the snapshot standby. You can say now alter database open. And now if you will check the information here that the snapshot database is also open in the read-write mode. It is not the read-only mode, it is the read-write mode. That means you can perform any kind of work, you can create tables, you can insert data into that, you can do all kind of testing here. So this is what we have seen. And yes, you can also check from the $V restore point, what is the status, what is whether you have a snapshot standby created, which I have even shown you in the alert log. So we can use the same query here. Its name. We have a guarantee flashback database. From $V restore point. Column name format a, let's say 70. So we can see here that the snapshot standby required. This is the restore point name which is being created. This is a guaranteed restore point which is being created, and it will help us while we are reverting back the snapshot standby to the physical standby. At that time, it will be used to flashback the data using the flashback logs. So we have seen how to convert a physical standby to the snapshot standby database. Okay, so there is a simple question like, can we convert a logical standby to the snapshot standby? And the answer is no, you cannot convert a logical standby to the snapshot standby. We always need a physical standby for that. Okay, now let's do some testing work here. And let me create some, because as you can see here, the database is actually open in the read-write mode in this scenario. Let me do some testing here. So what I'm going to do is let us create some tables here. So I already have a user with a name called Shweb. So we will try to work with that user here. Let me connect with this user. Okay, so right now I am in that user. So let's start from tab. So there are a few tables residing in this table, in this user. Let us create a new fresh table. So let's create a table with a name called snapshot_test. So we have created a fresh table called snapshot_test. Let us insert some of the data into this. So let me insert value number 1, that is Brave. Let me insert a second value here, that's Vinod. And let me insert the third value, that is the Scholar IT Solutions. Okay, let me commit this value. Let us select the data from this table. So as you can see here, we are able to fetch the data which is residing in the snapshot test. Okay, so you are able to perfectly work with the DMLs here. Queries are running fine on my snapshot database. Okay, I'm sorry, right now it's not the, it does not have the rights to work on this, that's why. Okay, so what we have seen here is that we have seen the table creation testing. Okay, so we have performed that a snapshot standby can be opened up, and you can work, you can create users, you can create some tables into this. If you want, you can insert some data into that, and we have done all these steps. Now let's coming back to the place where we want to convert back my snapshot standby to the physical standby. How we would do that thing. Okay, so let's go into that part. So let's again confirm whether the what is the archive sequence here. Okay, then we will convert whether the MRP is running or not. Then the third thing will be we will shut down and start the standby database in the mount mode. So let's proceed into the testing part. Okay, so let me connect with my user here. So right now I'm the snapshot standby. Let's check whether the MRP is running here. So MRP is not running. What is the maximum archive sequence? It was 8, not 10. Okay, so what we're going to do is we have to shut down the database. So that is my step number 1. I have checked the MRP is not running. I have checked the maximum sequence. Then we will shut it down and then start up mount. So database is going down. We can see here this in the alert log also. The database is going down. It says instance shutdown complete. Okay. Then we will say startup mount. In the alert log, we are seeing all things going in the background, what is running, what is starting up. So it's always good to go to the alert log and look into the steps which are being performed by the Oracle in the background. So my database has been started up in the mount mode, and now we will perform the step, and that is you convert the snapshot standby back to the physical standby. Okay, so alter database convert to physical standby. Alter database convert to physical standby. Oh, so the problem is that the MRP is running here. No. What happened? Let me, I think it's still in the read write mode. Shut immediate. Startup mount. Let's check whether the MRP is running or not. TP info. Okay, it's mounted right now. So that was the problem. It was not mounted. So now let's convert this command to the physical standby. Alter database convert to okay. So the problem is that it is going back to the okay. So Just give me a minute, guys. Let me check what's happening in the background, why it is opening it up again in the read-write mode. Because right now, actually, in the background, this DataGuard broker is running up. Okay. At the rate DB info. That is the thing, it is starting it up. So, alter, let me check the MRP process. MRP is not working. Alter database close. Just give some time, let it close the database here. So my database is closed here. Let's look into this now. MRP at the rate DB info. Okay, so now it is mounted. Now let me run that my command. So it's alter database convert to physical standby. Okay, and now it's running into the physical. We have run this command alter database standby physical standby. You can look into the alert logs. What is being happening is flashing back all the data using the FRA flashback logs. You can see here that these are the flashback logs which are being used to roll back, flashback this snapshot standby to the physical standby, and now it is being done. So let's see what is this mounted. Okay, and then you can say alter database open. So you will see that it will be open in the read-only mode. Okay, and then you can, as you can see here, that says recovery needed because it's in the meantime we have worked on the snapshot standby. New archives has been generated, it has been shipped onto the standby side. So we will apply those archives on the standby. So we have to start the MRP. You can check the MRP is not running here. So recover, manage the standby database, disconnect from session. So now we can see here that my MRP is running. Okay, and there should be no gap because this is the maximum archives we have here on the 814 on the standby side. If we go on the primary side and check what is the maximum archives available is 814. Let's switch some of the archives. So that we can confirm that the archiving are going on the standby side and they are being applied, being applied on the standby side. Okay, so the current maximum sequence on the primary is 818. Let's look what's the status here. Let's see what is MRP is doing. So MRP is applying the log 819. So that's the recent one which is coming up here in the memory area. So we have the maximum sequence to 818. So we are in totally sync with the primary database. So by now we have seen how you can convert the database, a physical database, into a snapshot standby database and back to the snapshot to the physical standby. Okay, now let's come into the one important part need to be tested here, and that is that you have created a table in the standby database. Okay, so as you can see here, what's the status? DB info. So we have a database which is open in read only, so at least we can query what is being there in the database. So let's say select star from Schwab. I'm sorry, let's connect with this user, connect Schwab and select star from tab. So you only have the old tables that were there in the before previously. We don't have the table which we created during the snapshot standby. If I'm not wrong, this was the only table name which we created. Let's have a quick look. What was the table name at that time? Okay, the table which was there, it was select star from Schwab.snapshot_test, and we had that value there. If we run this query again, we are not able to see this query. Why? Because during the snapshot, we had created this table was created, but when we executed the command to roll it back to the physical standby, at that time, all the data which was done, which was happened on the snapshot standby was rolled back, was flushed using the flashback logs. So that's why we don't have the this table here. We only have the data which was available before creating a snapshot standby. I hope you have understood why we use the snapshot standby. Okay, so now let's move on to a different area, that is the DataGuard broker. Let's understand what it is. So the Oracle DataGuard broker, which logically binds the primary database and the standby database within a broker configuration, and it manage and monitor them together as one single unit. We can manage broker configuration using the Oracle Enterprise Manager Cloud Control. You can use that to create and configure the broker configuration, or you can use the command line utility called the DGMGRL. The DataGuard broker is used to perform the following activities. You can create DataGuard configuration, which includes one primary, and it can have one or more than one standby database. You can look into the redo transport service happening. You can look into the log apply service. You can have the protection modes. You have many protection modes, as you know. You have maximum performance, you have the maximum availability, you have the maximum protection. So if you want, you can manage them. In my previous video, you can visit to the KT Expert YouTube channel, and there you can look into that my old video where I have shown you how to change the protection mode from maximum performance to maximum protection. I've shown you that all there. Then you can do the invoke switchover or failover. If you want, you can switch over to the standby database. You can fail over to the standby database. If you want to monitor the status of the entire configuration, you can do that. You can capture the diagnostic information. You can run the reports, the statistics, and you can find out what is the redo generation rate, what is the redo apply rate. Okay. So here you can see the architecture of the Oracle DataGuard broker. It's the same. We have the same primary server here with us, which have the database running, which have the online video log files, everything. And on the standby side, we have the same standby database server with the standby video logs and the archive logs files. What comes into the picture is when we start the DataGuard broker, we have the configuration files which are being configured on the primary side as well as on the standby side. And you will see a background process called daemon, which comes into the picture when we start the DataGuard broker. Okay, so now let's follow the same steps. We will convert the physical standby to the snapshot standby using the DGMGRL. And you will see the difference. You will see a lot of difference, and you will see how easy it is to manage things from the DataGuard broker. Because in the case of DataGuard broker, it's a single line command and it will take care of everything. If you remember that previously when we were working, when we converted the physical standby to the snapshot standby, we have to perform a lot of steps. You have to shut it down, you have to start up mount, you have to stop the recovery, you have to run that command to convert it into the snapshot standby. And you will not see that all happening here. It's a little single command and it is very easy. So all the thing is being taken care by the DGMGRL in the background. So as you can see on the screen, there's a simple command called DGMGRL/SSDBA, and you will be logging into the DGMGRL console, and there you can run multiple commands to see what is the status of the primary database, what is the status of the ORCL database. So as you can see in the screen right now, the ORCL DR, which is my standby, a physical standby. Okay, let's see here now. The same thing in practical. So DGMGRL/SysDBA. So right now we are connected to the DGMGRL, and we can say show configuration. So we can see here that this is a primary database, and we can see we have an ORCL DR, which is the physical standby database right now. So this is the configuration here. That is my step number 1 to see what is the current configuration. Step number 2 is you have to convert the physical standby database into the snapshot standby database, and there is a simple command for that. You will say convert database to snapshot standby. So we will say convert database, and we will give the database name in the single quotes to the snapshot standby. And now what's happening, you can see on the standby side what is happening in the background, what is being done. So it was always a good thing to look into this. Got something, a problem here. I can see some kind of errors here. Let's see what's happening. Okay. So it says there is currently no service. Let's see, SNRCTL start. Standby is running. Okay. Let me look into this. What is the status here? Start account. Okay, let me look into this real quick. What is happening in the background? So we have a snapshot standby, which is in the mounted mode. Okay. Okay, so there were some issues while I think there's some bug hit. Right now we can see some Aura 600 errors here. So that could be a problem. It failed here, but it doesn't matter now. We have to manually start this, while it should not be the case, because in the primary, when we just say convert here, it should normally convert the database into the snapshot standby. There was a problem with the TNS listeners here, so I think it's working now. DGMGRL /Oracle CL DRS DBA show configuration. Okay, so now it's fine. So we can see here that the ORCL database is primary and the ORCL DR is a snapshot standby. Here what you have seen is that it was not able to bring up the snapshot standby database. So there was some problem while performing the change. It did convert it when I just fire this command, convert database ORCL DR to snapshot standby. It was converted, but it could not bring it up due to some of the listeners issue. So I have just resolved that issue, and now we have this snapshot standby here, as we can see here in the output. So right now my database is working in the snapshot. It's the same. You can connect to the user here. And if you want, you can create the same test of tables here. Let me create those tables again real quick. So that's a table which is being created. Let me okay, I'm inserting a second record, and now finally I will be inserting the third record here. So let's commit here. Let's say select count star from the table name, that is the username dot table name. Okay, what you can say do is you can say select all the data from user dot table here. So we can see all the data also. Column name format A50. So we can see the data also. Now we can see the number of count also. So that's great here. So coming back to my sys. So as we can see here that the database is in the read-write mode, and in a snapshot mode, we are able to create tables here. So now coming back to this place. So we have seen that we have to convert it. How we can convert that is right now it is in the snapshot standby database. Okay, what you can check is that whether the flashback is on or not, and what is the restore point. So right now, if you will check the flashback status, it will say that there is a restore point only, because there is a restore point created, which will help us for the flashback logs. We have done the table creation testing also. We have created new tables here, and we have tested them. We have created the same set of tables here, and we have tested it out. So now let's perform the rollback. Let's perform this activity of converting the snapshot standby back to the physical standby, and we will be using the same DGMGRL concept here. So we will connect with the DGMGRL here. Okay, so this is my configuration, and I have a simple command here, and that is the convert database to physical standby. So we will say convert database to physical standby. So we have to wait for some few minutes. In the meantime, it will perform all the operations. So you can see here, it's really very easy to perform, to convert a database to the snapshot standby and back to the physical standby. It's very easy to perform it on the DGMGRL control, because the DataGuard broker takes care of everything. It will shut down where it is needed. It will start up wherever it is needed. So I personally feel like this DataGuard broker is very good utility, and I would recommend all of you to use this utility in your offices also. And you can, if you have the standby, if you have multiple standbys, it will be very easy to manage them, to monitor them. And yes, if you want, you can go to the KT Expert YouTube channel, and I have also created a seminar. I have given a seminar on this, a complete seminar on the DGMGRL. You can have a look on that. So now you can see that we have converted the standby. So show configuration. So we can see that this database is back into the physical standby. Now it's not running on as a snapshot standby. So we can exit here and then reconnect, and we can see the difference. Okay, you can see that it is a physical standby now, not the snapshot standby, which was previously, as you can see here. And if we will try to see the output from this table, which we created while it was in the snapshot standby, let's see what it says. So it says table of view does not exist, because it was in the snapshot case while the standby database was working in the snapshot role. It was there, but once you switch, it will be all the data, all the work, all the transactions that were done in the snapshot standby will be rolled back using the flashback logs. So as you can see here, it's a very simple, a single command, and all work is done. It will automatically close, it will automatically start, and everything is done. So as you can see, there is a lot of difference between the SQL command prompt and the DGMGRL command prompt. Okay, so as you also know that right now we have seen this, that my read only will apply, the archives are being applied. The same command you can see it from the DGMGRL utility also. You can find out what is the apply rate, what is apply on off. So you can have show configuration database. It will show you everything. So you can say show configuration ORCL, show database ORCL. Okay, so this is the transport on. That means that data is actually going to the standby side. You can say show database ORCL DR, that is a DR name. So it shows you that the apply is also on. That means the MRP is running there. So MRP is running there. So that's why apply on. If you want, you can just stop the apply from this level also, and that's a simple command for that. That is the edit database and set state and apply off. So you can use that edit database. And you will give the name of the database here. That is the ORCL DR. And what do you want? You want that the state should be applied off. So set state is equal to apply off. So that means the MRP has been stopped now. MRP is not running on the DR server. So it says apply off. The apply will not be done. We can check it from there also. MRP, you don't see the MRP running here in the output. We don't see MRP running here. Okay. So what you want, you can, if you want, you can start this back. You can say edit database name set state equal to apply on. And when we say this, the MRP will be started up from the DGMGRL utility. Okay, and you can check it here. We'll run the MRP command here, and we can see now the MRP is running. So you can manage everything from the DGMGRL utility, and I would recommend you to use this utility much more handy. So it's really nice tool given by the Oracle to manage the multiple standby databases. So I hope you like this session and you will be able to learn a lot from this session. And please drop your queries. Please go and visit to the YouTube channel and go back to these videos and other videos of mine, and you can learn from that. And please do let me know how you feel like from the feedback, and please put in your questions up there, and definitely I'm going to answer them. Thank you.